When I look around my gym, I see multiple products from lots of big companies. Over here, I've got a Fringe Sport Dane, some Fringe Sport bumper plates, and their silverback dumbbells. Up on the wall, I've got a few different barbells from American Barbell. Behind me, I've got a Rep Fitness Aries and a bunch of their attachments. And while that's normal for most big companies, what I realized the other day when I was looking around my gym is that there's one small company that I have several things from. Then not only do I have several things from this particular person, but I use them all the time. So I figured I'd spend some time today to introduce you to not only a cool company that if you don't already know, you should know, but to show you the 4 or 5 things that I own from them that are on regular rotation here in my home gym. Welcome back to the GymCrafter YouTube channel, everybody. My name is Tim. I am the head gym nerd here at GymCrafter.com, the website that I built to help ordinary folks like you and I build home and garage gyms that we absolutely love. And part of building a gym that we absolutely love is finding those hidden gems, those things that really click with us and our training that we love having in our gym. And as a reviewer, what I judge things by in a lot of cases is when I look around my gym at all the stuff that I have that's here for testing, that companies send me, when I come in here on a regular basis just to work out, just to have fun, just to enjoy my training, what are the things that I reach for on a daily basis? And that's kind of how I judge personally the things that are best for me. And those are also the types of things that I love to show to you guys. So today, instead of making a bunch of individual product reviews, what I want to do is introduce you to a gentleman by the name of Matt Porter. He runs a company called Porter Phys. Matt is a gym teacher. He's a really great guy. I met him 2 home gym cons ago. And interesting story, the first time I met Matt, I was there 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that, filming videos on the floor of Home Gym Con, and the only other guy there that was working was Matt, and that tells you a lot about Matt and why he's successful. He's not only holding down a full-time job, but he has time to be kind of a mad scientist creator in the gym space, and he has made some cool things. If you know about Matt's products, you know what I'm talking about. If you ran into him at Home Gym Con, you know what I'm talking about. But if you didn't, you guys are in for a treat. I'm gonna show you a few things here that he has made, that I use, that I bought. Matt hasn't sent me any of this stuff for free. I bought all of it, and I'm happy, and I would buy it again. So let me dig in, and we're gonna show you, I think I've got 4 products here that I use all the time, and then there's a 5th one on the way that I can't wait to get my hands on. So let's start over here on our Bells of Steel cable tower and show you how Matt helped me, a tall gangly dude, actually use this kind of short tower. Now, if you follow the channel at all, you will recognize this piece behind me. This is the Bells of Steel cable tower. They make it in a bunch of different flavors. I have made a ton of videos about this thing. You guys know I love it. It's one of my favorite pieces in the gym. I use it all the time, but one of the only reasons I'm able to use it all the time is because of this big old contraption on the top. As much as I like the Bells of Steel cable tower, it's got a couple of drawbacks. Number one, this particular unit is only 81 inches tall. With me being 6'6", that doesn't work real well when I want to do lat pull downs. That means that I have to sit on the floor and pull down, which is not my favorite place to be. The second drawback is that one of the things you need to know about this particular piece is it should be bolted to the wall, or it should be bolted to your floor to keep it from tipping over. Because when you sit on the floor, you can't sit directly underneath the pull point of the pulleys, and you end up pulling down and forward. And when the stack gets to the top, you guessed it, it starts to tip over on you, which would make for a really bad day. So how do you fix both of those things? Because I don't like bolting things to the floor. I don't like attaching things to the wall. This gym moves around way too often for me to do that here, and it's just kind of a pain. So this thing up here is called the crane. This is by Matt. This is one of the very first things that he made as part of his company. He actually made a more scaled down version of this, where he allowed you to have the pull point for the lat pull down out in front of the unit. Well, he had sent me one of those originally when I first got this, but I'm so tall, even that didn't help. It moved the pull point out forward, which fixed the part of being able to pull straight down. However, what it didn't do was it didn't make the pull point high enough to where I could just sit on my bench. I prefer to sit on the bench out in front. So this is adjustable. So when I come over here and I pull this mag pin, this allows me to raise and lower the pull point. And when I've got it up here, which is the tallest point I use it at, that particular piece makes the pull point at just over 90 inches tall. And that is tall enough for me to get a nice stretch on a lat pull down, sit underneath the pull point, not tip the whole thing over, and it's just a really nice versatile piece. I do move it up and down a little bit depending on what I'm doing, sometimes to get the pull point out further out in front of the unit, sometimes just to accommodate like a different type of attachment. For the most part, mine lives right there, but it's nice that no matter how tall you are, no matter what your preferences are, this particular piece will work for your Bells of Steel tower. This is on sale over on his site, so I'll put links to all these products down below in the description. When Matt first started his company, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I bought all of these, and he didn't have an affiliate program. He has since started an affiliate program, so those are affiliate links. I do want to make sure and tell you that. But if you decide to buy any of Matt's stuff because of this video, definitely appreciate it if you use those links. That helps me out. And that lets Matt know that maybe he should send me some stuff for free instead of making me pay for all of it. Although, like I said, I'm happy to pay for it. Okay, let me bring you in close and show you how this works. It's pretty slick. This is just a great example of how Matt's brain works. He looks at something like the Bells of Steel cable tower and goes, ooh, I could make this and it would do that. So let me show you how this works. Basically, this little unit right here, it comes to attach the two pull points on the front. The way that the Bells of Steel cable tower works is if you pull one of the things, it's a 2-to-1 rate ratio. If you pull both of them, it's 1-to-1, but you gotta have a way to connect both of them together. So you take this piece that comes with, and what you're gonna do is you're going to attach it to the actual pulley itself. On the other end of the adapter is this cable, and this cable comes with Matt's unit. It runs up through this pulley here, up to the top pulley there, and then back down to an attachment point that's now out in front of the unit. What you do is once this is connected, all you do is you lower this down until it's at a point that puts your pull point where you want it, you lock it in, and now when I pull this, I'm pulling the weight stack. So this allows me to attach my pull-down attachments out here so that, again, I can get out in front of the unit and I don't have to pull forward on the unit. It's as simple as that. When I'm done using it, all I have to do is unattach this, slide it back up in the top there where it stores real nicely, and then I'll typically take this particular unit and I will attach it to the mag pin that holds this on here, and everything is up and out of the way. Nothing's in my way when I'm going to use the tower for something else. It stores really slickly. Like I said, it doesn't interfere with how the unit works, and the best thing is to install this. You just take it out and there's 2 bolts that attach it right into the top of this unit, and away you go. Now I know some of you are going to ask me, does it work with all of the Bells of Steel cable towers? It does work with the 2.3 by 2.3 inch units, both the short and the tall version. I've had it on both of those because I've owned both of those. I have not tried it on the 3x3. I think there's probably some modifications. Check the link below to see what he's got available for which units in case you have the 3x3 unit. But if you have the 2.3 by 2.3 units, I know for sure he's going to make these for you. So that is the first product that I ever got from Matt. It's still something that I use all the time, and it's actually a product that allows me to use this Bells of Steel cable tower in cases where I probably wouldn't like it near as much as I do if I didn't have this mounted on top of it. So for me, this is a must-have if you have a Bells of Steel cable tower. So real quick, this isn't a real in-depth review on this particular product, but I'll show you the second thing I bought from Matt, which is a leg holder that he made to go specifically on the Bells of Steel cable tower. Once you get that pull point out in front and you're sitting underneath to do lat pull downs, you need something to hold your legs down. This little guy right here pops right in with a mag pin and secures your legs. So it's a nice leg roller for this particular piece. This also, because of the way that it's designed, makes a great place to rest your back if you're doing curls and want a nice stretch. I've put my chest against here for some rows down below. This actually has a bunch of versatile uses, but this is one of those kind of things that you don't even think about until you don't have it. So if you're gonna go with the Bells of Steel cable tower and you're gonna set it up so that you can pull for while sitting on a bench, and I just push a bench right up to this to use it, having a leg holder like this is going to be valuable to a lot of you, so I wanted to make sure that I showed you this as well. Now that we're set up for actually using a cable system with a couple of Matt's products, let me show you some of his attachments, because this is something that I think he's really going to start specializing in, and some of these things are really, really cool. For this next piece, I liked these so much when I got them that I actually made a video, a standalone video just about these, so I'll put a link to that video down below. And you've seen these pop up on lots of people's channels. You've seen these pop up on Gluck's channel. You've seen these pop up on Basement Brandon's channel. These things, if a person has a home gym with cables in it, almost to a person anymore, they have a set of these, and these are called Eclipse Grips. Now, I won't go into the whole detailed review. I'll link a video below that I did, which is a whole review, but basically, I use these Eclipse Grips every single time I do my cables, or I use my cables. So I use these a couple, 3 times a week at least. What makes these special is there's a lot of attachments that are similar to this, like for example, this Rep Fitness model, but let me show you the 2 things that I like this, or the 3 things that I like about this more than I like something like this. Number 1, when you use something like this, your attachment point for the cable ends up out from your hand. So unless you're pulling straight to the cable actually ends up torquing your wrists in different directions and makes it relatively uncomfortable. When you're using the Eclipse Grips, what happens is the attachment point for the cable is right close to your hand. So no matter what direction you're going, you're not getting a lot of torque on your hands from the cable. It makes these really, really, really comfortable to use. A couple more things that make them comfortable to use. They've got a swiveling top on them, so they don't bind or twist at all. They also have I'll put some close-up pictures in the video, but this knurling is just fantastic. And also it's a nice thick diameter grip. So I know a lot of things like that one from Rep that I just showed you. The diameter of that shaft is pretty thin, and sometimes it's not the most comfortable. With these, I can really wrap my hands around it and get a good purchase. And when you combine that with the shape of the base, and also he makes these really cool leather pads that go on there to make it even more comfortable. This is a really great cable attachment that I use all the time. Also cool that I got them in GymCrafter green, so I dig that. But like I said, overall, this is one of my favorite attachments. It's one of the ones that I use all the time. Now these aren't cheap, especially if you buy two, but I think you should have two to do flies and things like that. But worth every penny. I have got a whole slew of cable attachments that I've spent less money on than these, and you add the price of all the ones up that I don't use, and they more than pay for a set of these. So again, I'm not alone. You'll see these on everybody's channel, and not because Matt's paying us to do that. We all bought these from Matt because they're awesome. Now let me show you another more expensive cable attachment from Matt that actually isn't going to be for everybody. I really like it. It's unique in the world of cable attachments. There isn't really anything else out there like it. This is called a Rev Bar. Now what I have is a prototype that I bought at Home Gym Con. Matt brought 3 of these prototypes to the show. We sold all 3 of them there. This is a little bit harder to describe. Now the production models can be a tad smaller than this and a tad lighter, which is good because this is a pretty chunky boy right here. But this is one of those things where it's a feel thing. You kind of have to feel it to truly understand where the benefits are. Now to be honest with you up front, this is a pretty pricey cable attachment, and for some of you this will be well worth it. I love this thing. I would buy it again. Other of you are going to go, I'm good with the attachments that I have, but let me show you why I like this. There's a couple of things that make this very unique. Number one, like the Eclipse Grips, although this is even bigger, the diameter of these handles is really, really wide. And for the movements that this is for, this allows me to use what's called a false grip, where I put my thumb over the top, or I can reach underneath, and I've got a very good grip on this. The wide grip is very easy on your elbows, which I know elbows are an issue for some people. So if you have issues with your elbows when you're doing like tricep press downs or overhead extensions, there's a couple things I'm going to show you. This wide grip helps. The other nice thing is that these spin. So in addition to having really awesome knurl, it's the same knurl that's on those Eclipse Grips, but the reason that this spins is so that I can actually maintain my wrist angle without the unit itself torquing things over. A lot of tricep attachments, and this does more than triceps, but a lot of attachments that are used for the things I'm going to show you, what happens is as you get to the end range of certain parts of the cable movement, the way that the attachment attaches to the end of the cable kind of tilts or twists, and it moves your arm or your wrist in a way that you don't want it to do. By having this at the right angle and having this turn, it allows you to keep your wrist straight. It helps to focus the effort on the muscle that you're trying to train, but it also makes things a whole lot more comfortable. And that's why I was saying this is kind of a feel thing. Everybody who I saw try it at Home Gym Con, they looked interested when they first looked at it, but then when they tried it, you could see almost every one of them go, oh, this feels great. So I don't use this for a ton of things, but I do use this weekly. Let me show you the few things that I actually use this for. And the comparison I'll give you from this to the Eclipse Grips. The Eclipse Grips are super versatile. I use those for a million different types of movements. I could make a whole probably half-hour, 40-minute video just on the movements that you could do with that. This is going to have fewer uses in your arsenal. However, what I think makes this one special is that, at least from what I've tried, this is the best option I've tried for the movements I use it for. So even though I have other implements here that can do the movements I'm going to show you, this one by far is the one that I want to reach for every single time I do them because it's the most comfortable. So with that said, let me show you what you can do with this, or at least what I do with this on a weekly basis. Now, the most obvious use for an implement like this is actually what I probably use it for more than anything, and that's tricep press downs. The nice thing about this is that when I do tricep press downs on this, and typically what I would use before is one of those flat plates, or I would use some ropes. With this one, as I mentioned a little bit ago, with this, when I get set up for my tricep press down, I can get my wrist completely locked straight. I use a false grip for this so that I take my thumb out of the occasion. When you grip things with your thumb, what happens is you bring your forearms and your bicep into play. By putting your thumb up on top, I really focus most of the effort back here on the triceps. And then what this allows me to do is to keep my wrist at a neutral angle, and it allows my whole arm to swivel around the attachment so that I don't get any weird tension or any kind of weird torque on my wrists when I use this. So for me, this is just an ideal tricep press down piece. This is the one that I use every single time that's in my programming, and it's very, very comfortable to use. Let me show you another tricep exercise that I do with this. So the next tricep exercise I use this for is overhead presses. And the nice thing about this is when I get set up for this movement, the way that the bar turns is really nice. It's easy to get set up. But the other thing is that when I get up here, again, I can keep my wrists straight. And the way that these turn, there's no torque from the cable at all. This is the other tricep exercise I use these for. So this is another good one. This is in the rotation, probably less than press downs, but still something I do a couple of times a month at least. A third movement that you can do, although I'm not a huge fan on the Rev Bar, it's not my favorite attachment for this, but I do use it sometimes, is curls. Typically with a V-shaped bar like this, curls are something that you're going to see a lot of people want to do. The way that this is angled, if you just try and do regular curls, it feels a little bit weird, but if you kind of lean back a little bit and get your arms out in front, this gets a really nice stretch on your biceps. Take your thumbs again using a false grip, and this particular curl variation is something that I like this for, and it tends to work pretty well for. Now with those shown, let me show you the one thing that I use this for all the time. It's my favorite implement for it, and it's the best thing I've ever found for this particular exercise, which is kind of a sleeper exercise that I think more people should be doing. Dumbbell pullovers have been something that I've been putting in my exercise routines for a very, very long time. The problem with pullovers are you have to lay in a weird position on a bench, and then you have to press a dumbbell up and lever it behind your head. With the cable system, there's a much easier way to do pullovers. The problem is there's never really been a great attachment for it until now. A pullover basically is where you're going to sit and kind of hinge back a little bit, keep your back straight, and you're going to keep your arms straight, and you're going to use your lats to pull this down low. And this is a great lat exercise. This exercise is a good amount of your back. It's really, really something that I use all the time. It's kind of nice instead of just doing lat pull downs all the time. You can go relatively heavy. Because you have to brace yourself, it works your core pretty well too. This bar is just perfect for that exercise. Because it turns and because it's at exactly the right angle, no matter where I am in the movement, everything is perfectly set up. This just really works well. And if you get this particular implement, that's going to be one of the exercises you're for sure going to want to use it for. So those are the 4 things that I use the Rev Bar for. As I mentioned before, it doesn't do as many things for me as the Eclipse Grips, but the few things that I do use it for, it really does it better than anything else that I've found. So that might be a reason for you to check out the Rev Bar as well. But let me move on to the next thing for Matt, which is the thing that I use more than all of these other things combined, and it's probably one of my favorite things I've ever bought from him. So this guy right here is called the TNT HellBox. Sorry, I like saying that name. It's just a great name, isn't it? Basically what it is, it's an accessory for a lever belt squat. Now right now it's attached to the Fringe Sport Mammoth belt squat. I've had this belt squat for quite a while. For those of you who don't know about belt squats, what it is, it's a way for you to wrap a belt around your hips, basically place all the load on your hips, and then you attach it to the end here, you load it up with weight, and then you can squat that way. It takes away all of the compression forces on your spine. It's a really nice thing to have, especially as you get older. They make freestanding ones, which work much better than a belt squat. And if you've got room in the budget and in the garage, those are awesome, but most of us don't. So a lever belt squat like this, which comes on and off the rack pretty easily, is a great solution. So things that I like about the lever belt squat is all the things I just told you. Also, like I said, it comes on and off the rack really easily. I'm actually using, not to talk about a different product, but this is Fringe Sport's new like heavy duty mag pin that takes a ripcord to pull it off the thing. That works great to hold this on. So if you've got a lever belt squat and you're using hitch pins or things like that, that is a great solution for you, just as an aside. But I really like that. The things that I don't like about it is typically it comes with a single weight post that would sit upright on here. And the problem with that is twofold. Number one, you're limited in the amount of weight you can put on a single weight post. Secondly, as you put weight plates on a vertical weight post, unless you buy spacers to go between those plates, you pinch your fingers. It's just part of the deal. So I wasn't a huge fan of that. The other thing that I wasn't a huge fan of is because you're limited in weight, one of the benefits of the Mammoth belt squat is it allowed you to put the post kind of out towards the end so that the feel weight was closer to what was actually on the post. The issues with that is, number one, those weight plates would then get in the way of the kickstand, and number two, they would get in the way of my knees. So when I would squat down, my knees would hit it. So I would either have to move it up and lose some of the weight, and then again, you run into the problem with the weight capacity. Anyway, the other thing that I don't like about the belt squats in general that are lever belt squats is this. So I'm set up for the belt squat. Now, if I didn't have this TNT contraption on here, basically, if you can imagine, you've got that single weight post. There's nothing to do with your hands. So there's nothing to brace yourself on. So I always felt like a Russian folk dancer, like putting my hands on my hips, or I would put my hands out straight and like do prisoner squats or things like that. There needs to be something with your hands. It feels a little bit unstable if you don't have something to hold on to. So you could have held on to the weight stack or could have held on to the post, but there wasn't a good solution. So with all that said, enter the TNT HellBox, and it adds a couple of nice benefits to the belt squat itself. So first of all, as you can see, we now have two horizontal weight posts. One of the nice things that Matt did was he angled those weight posts up a little bit so that I don't necessarily need to use collars on these things. I can just slide the weights on, they stay on just fine. And because they're two weight posts, I just literally doubled the capacity of the belt squat. The other nice thing is that it adds this adjustable handle. You've got really nice knurling up here. I've got a pop pin right here that allows me to take the handle up and down and adjust it pretty easily so that it can adjust to whatever movement I'm doing. Then there's also a pop pin here that allows me to move the handle any number of places. Now, when you combine those two things together, what that allows you to do, there's a couple of really cool things that allows you to do. Number one, depending on your body type, so I have big old long arms, so sometimes I like to put this a little bit forward. When I'm doing the belt squat, I now have something to hold on to. I've got something firm to hold on to, and I can brace myself. And what I've found is that I can actually squat heavier because I've got something to hold on to. It allows me to keep my spine a little bit straighter. It allows me to stay upright. Another thing that it does is because I've got something to hold on to, I can now squat with my feet forward and focus more on my quads. I can squat with my feet a little bit further back. I have more flexibility in where I can put my feet and the general type of squat that I can do. Another really nice thing about this that I use this for all the time is what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll put it straight out. And what this allows me to do is RDLs. So I can actually do RDLs with this, get nice and low, and I don't have to worry about re-racking a barbell or anything like that. So that opens up a couple of nice exercises. And basically what it's done, even though the function is pretty simple, it just adds weight, it adds an easier way. The side loading weight horns are great. I haven't pinched my fingers yet since I got this thing. And it adds the different handle positions, but I use the belt squat a whole lot more. I've got to be very honest, before I got this, I didn't use the belt squat a whole lot. I used it to test it for review and things like that. But when it came to my training, to set it up, to then do a squat, which was uncomfortable, it just wasn't working for me. And adding the HellBox added some functionality, it added another movement, but it just added the ability to actually get a lot more out of the belt squat in the first place. So that's what I like about the TNT HellBox, and that's why I really like this particular piece from Matt, and this is why this is the thing that I ended up using the most from him. Now, with all that said, there are a couple of things that I wish were different about the HellBox, one of which Matt's got nothing to do with, but in order to get this to the point where my knees don't hit these weights, this has to be mounted further in on the lever, which takes some of the feel weight off. So some of the weight capacity you pick up, you give up a little bit of that feel weight by moving the weight further in, further down the arm. I don't know if there's anything you can really do about that other than making a longer lever. But in the end, that's something that I wish was a little bit different. The other thing that I wish was different is because this uses two pop pins, what happens is there's some play here. And I would love to see some way to tighten this down. Now, after I've used this a few times, what you get used to is I pull on this so there's no wobbling, but when I first got it as I was squatting, my hand was doing that and it really kind of bothered me. But based on the movement that I'm doing now, I just pull one direction and just kind of lock in that way. But I do wish that there was a little bit less play. Maybe like a screw down pop pin or something like that would be nice. One more thing that I kind of wish was different, and that's just because of my body size. I would love it if these handles were just a little bit wider because they're not quite shoulder width for me. So like this, the handles are kind of in here, and it would be great if I could actually grip out to the side just a little bit. But those are a few things that I would change about this. But overall, love this piece if you're looking to make the most out of your belt squat. And this will actually attach to any belt squat with the holes that go straight down, because it does bolt in with 2 bolts through the top of the lever. So there are a few brands out there where the top is finished and smooth with no holes. You can't really use it on that, but you can use it on any belt squat where the bolts go straight down through the top. So hopefully that helps you out if you're looking for something like this. Now overall with Matt, as you can kind of tell, I'm a big fan of Matt's stuff. I'm a big fan of Matt. Matt's a really nice guy. We've actually kind of become friends over the last couple of years that we've known each other. He truly is a mad scientist. If you could see what's going on in the workshop that he's got, which used to be his gym, it's now a warehouse and workshop. He's got some really cool stuff, always coming out, always getting stuff. And he's also pretty quick to market too. So as he comes up with ideas that are good, he kind of refines them pretty quickly and gets them out. So I really like Matt's stuff. Like I said, I'll put a link to all of his stuff down below. Keep an eye on his site because like I said, he's always coming out with new stuff. With that said, that is your introduction to Matt Porter and Porter Phys Ed. Like I said, as I look around my garage and I look at all the stuff that I have from all these big companies, I realize here's this little guy who's a good guy, and I use his stuff every single day. I think I've got 5 here in the garage, and then there's that other one, the Tri-Fighter coming on the way, and I can't wait to get my hands on that. So there you have it, Porter Phys Ed. Thanks for watching, appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff. And until the next review, I'm Tim with GymCrafter.